We'll just go ahead and get started. So I'm super excited that everyone is here joining us today for another College Readiness Wednesday. My first thing I think I want to do this time around, I would love to get some feedback. We're going to do a classic icebreaker. I know it's 3:30 in the afternoon. Some of you all may have been on Zoom calls all day, so I don't want to bore you. So, okay, just know there's a chat function. All right, if you go down to the bottom, depending on if you're on your phone or not, there should be access to the chat at the bottom. That's where you can go ahead. You can interact with folks on the chat. You can ask questions. All right. And we'll also, if you're a little shy today, you can go ahead and drop your icebreaker question or your icebreaker answer in the chat. But if you're feeling froggy today and you want to engage, you want to interact live, then go ahead and unmute yourself. And we'll give you an opportunity to answer this icebreaker question. But the icebreaker question for this event is, what is your go-to snack when the weather is cold and rainy and snowy? Because it's looking pretty gloomy outside. So I want to know what y'all go-to snack is when the weather is not looking so bright. So go ahead, drop it in the chat. Or if you want to unmute yourself, go ahead. You can do that now too.
Mine is gummy bears.
Gummy bears, okay.
For sure.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just love them things.
All right. That's Stefan, right?
Yeah, that's Steph.
Hey, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you tapping in.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Sour Patch Kids.
We got some kids in the building today.
Don't hate. They're just good.
Okay.
I just love them. It is.
And that's Jaden. That's Jaden, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Jaden. Thanks for tapping in, man. Tapping in. Thank you. Who else we got out there?
Mine is Takis.
Takis. Woo-wee! I can't do that spice. Okay, we got Takis. I see someone, Dr. Fox said nachos. Is that nachos with cheese or nachos with just salsa? Because not everybody does.
With cheese. You put a little cheese on and put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. And then the cheese melts on the chips. And then you add the salsa and some black beans maybe.
Oh, now that's leveled up. That sounds like 10 tier. What do they call them? 10 level nachos. That sounds good. What else we got?
You can make it all in a minute and a half, and it's perfect.
Minute and a half. No, that's the microwave. Microwave might have been one of the most bright and just efficient inventions ever made. You can make everything in a microwave these days. Okay. Oh, we got some more guests coming in. Awesome. We got anybody else out there that wants to share? Coach, I know Coach Anthony Murphy be having some solid. He gave me a really good snack yesterday. It was like some quinoa thing and a real good beef jerky stick. That was really good too. Hot fries? Clark, come what? Okay, what's up with the hot fries and the Takis? Y'all stomachs just, hey, I bless y'all. What else? Who else in here? Got a good snack before we get started? Well, I'll go ahead. What was that?
Watermelon.
Oh, is that Alan? Alan with the water? Okay. Raspberry cheesecake cookies from Subway. Alexis, oh my goodness. Those cookies are so good, especially when they're made fresh. Yes, the Subway way. I'm there with you now.
They are amazing. I was going to risk my diet and get them today.
I might have to go get me some. I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I'm going to tell y'all my snack. So I'm a classic drive-through. Like the drive-through, like convenience store or convenience store honey bun. The classic, they 50 cents. I go and grab me, spend $2. I'll grab 4 of them, and I'm popping them things in a microwave like Dr. Fox for 10 seconds. And they're going to be so amazing and ooey and gooey. I might even eat some ice cream with them. That's my go-to snack. All right. Well, if everyone's got their go-to snack out the way and the ice has been broken, I am going to turn it over to our lovely co-host, Dr. Fox. She's been phenomenal during our College Readiness Wednesday sessions, and she always has a great treat in store for us. This week, she's brought an expert in to talk to us about the financial aid application and how to get that coin for your dreams, goals, and aspirations. So I'm gonna go ahead and hand it off to Dr. Kirsten Fox, and she's gonna introduce our phenomenal guest this evening.
Hello. Well, thank you, Coach Chris, and welcome everyone. And my internet's been having some challenges, but hopefully you can hear me okay. Luckily, I'm not going to be talking for long because all I need to do is introduce our wonderful speaker for today's session. I'm glad many of you joined us live to be able to ask her questions, and I know others will be watching on demand afterwards. But we are joined today by Laura Meek, who is the Director of Financial Aid at Denison University. I had the good fortune of getting to work with Laura on a couple of initiatives when I used to work at Denison. But Laura has, well, her LinkedIn profile says about 30 years or 3 decades of financial aid experience, but that means she must have started when she was about 5, because there's no way she's been in the field for that long. But she's clearly a seasoned professional, having worked both at Denison and before this, Ohio Dominican for over 15 years. And she also has experience at Ohio University and Capital. So really knows the Ohio institutions. And it's going to be talking today about financial aid, and in particularly the FAFSA. I know that some of us may want to just kind of walk away when we hear about the FAFSA because it's a lot and can be overwhelming, but she's going to help break it down today and make it consumable for all of us. So with that, I'm excited to be able to turn it over to Laura, and please use the chat feature, and I'll help to monitor chats that might come in, or unmute yourself and ask questions whenever you want. This is obviously really important information, and we don't want any questions to go unanswered. So with that, Laura, please take it away.
Great. Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you for Chris and for inviting me. I think this will be really helpful for all of you that are considering college as an option. And so I hope to answer a lot of your questions about financial aid and how to access it. So hopefully you can walk away today with some knowledge that you can go home and talk it over with your families and make a decision about if college is right for you, and how to access funding. So
Your mic's muted.
Laura, I think you're muted.
I don't know how that happened. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
You're good. You are good.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. So anyway, just a little bit about my background. So as Kirsten said, I've worked all my career in financial aid, and just a little bit about me. I did grow up in the Central Ohio area. I do know most of the colleges around here and many of the folks that work there. And I started in financial aid when I went to college, and I worked in the financial aid office. So this is actually a picture of me working in the financial aid office at Capital University back when I was a student. And so, and I've worked in public higher education and private higher education. We're going to talk about what that is in just a minute. But I've been working in financial aid all of my career. And my personal story that I love to share with students is that, I grew up in Central Ohio. I had a desire to go to, a private institution out of state. I was on the wait list for that. And then, I didn't get into my dream school, right? And then my fallback was go to Columbus State or to Ohio State. And then, I had also applied to Capital University, which is a private institution. And I ended up getting a really good financial aid package at a private institution. And, my dad was out of a job. I didn't think I would be able to afford it. And I ended up going to a private institution in Central Ohio, cheaper than what it was going to cost me to go to a very inexpensive school. So that just kind of breaks down the barrier of kind of the finances of a private institution. So that's my story, and I like to talk about my experience, that a college education is possible, no matter where you are in life. So for some reason there we go. So obviously you all are in a position of, where am I going to go after college, right? And so there's a lot of options after high school. You can go to college, you can go to the military, maybe you want to go directly into the job market, maybe looking at an apprenticeship. There's different types of colleges to consider. We're going to talk about that next. But I'm sure you've already heard a lot of other folks talk about, the value of going to college. If that's what you're interested in, that, the more you learn, the more you earn, right? So as you can see on the slide there, just that, as you progress through different levels of education, you do have the opportunity to make more of a living. So we're going to talk a little bit just about the different pathways to college, right? Because there are different opportunities when you talk about college choices, right? So let's talk about what is around here in Central Ohio and the different types of colleges. So we have public universities in Ohio, and those would be your Ohio State, your Cleveland State, Bowling Green. These institutions are supported by the state government, and they allow residents to receive a public college education. Tuition costs of these universities are typically a little lower, and you have a lot of access to a lot of resources. When we talk about private universities, they rely heavily on tuition and your dollars, the federal dollars of financial aid. And generally, you think of private universities that are more expensive. So here in Central Ohio, the examples of private universities would be Capital University, Otterbein, Ohio Wesleyan, Ohio Dominican, Franklin. And then, you go broader. There's over 200 universities in Ohio. I'm not sure everyone realizes how many choices we have in Ohio. Then we have community colleges. So obviously right in our backyard is Columbus State Community College. And then there are community colleges in our other big cities, Cuyahoga Community College, Sinclair, in our neighboring cities, or our Cincinnati and Cleveland, they have community colleges. And typically those are 2-year colleges where you might earn an associate's degree or a 2-year degree. And many times it'll allow you to transfer onto a 4-year college. So Columbus State actually has a lot of partnerships with surrounding 4-year institutions that those credit hours will transfer automatically to their 4-year programs. So it is, and you can save a lot of money in the process of going to a community college. So it is a stepping stone for a lot of students in Ohio to start at a community college and then go on to a 4-year. And then we have technical colleges, right? So like if you're interested in going into one of the trades of, electrician, beauty school, nail tech, any of those, you can, apply to a technical school, and federal financial aid can be applied to those career trades as well, or certifications, right? So there's a lot of different pathways for colleges, and we're going to talk about the funding for college. So when we talk about financial aid, these are the kinds of terms that you're going to hear and what they mean. So we talk about scholarships and awards, and this is typically financial aid that is based on your merit or your talent. So based on your academic profile as a student, right? So your high school GPA, high school rank, maybe your test scores from ACT or SAT. It could be your athletic ability or your music musical abilities. So all of those could grant you scholarships or awards that are free. It's free money that you don't have to pay back, and it's based on some sort of merit or talent of yours. And typically when colleges award these funds, they are good for the 2 or the 4 years that they're giving it to you, right? So if you get a music scholarship or an academic scholarship from a university, it is typically awarded over those 4 years, that you would get a portion of that every year. When we talk about grants in financial aid, it is typically based on financial need. And that is going to be determined by the FAFSA application that we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. So there's an application for that. But grants are typically based on financial need. Then we have student loans and parent loans that are available from the federal government for education. Obviously, loans have to be borrowed, or that are borrowed funds that have to be repaid later, right? So after you graduate or leave school. And then also we have work programs that are sponsored by the federal government. Students can work while they're going to school and be paid with federal dollars, right? So when I worked on the financial aid office at college, I was paid through the work study program, and they were able to, give me a paycheck while I went to school. So those are the typical types of financial aid that you're going to hear about when you're applying through this process. So as I just said, we have a lot of sources of financial aid. So one of the biggest, and that we're going to learn about today, is the federal government, right? So grants, loans, work study, all of those that we just talked about, the federal government offers those types of financial aid when you apply. We also have state governments. We're going to talk about that in a minute. University and colleges, we offer, grants and scholarships based on your aid application. And then you may hear about other private sources of scholarships. So, possibly your church or civic organizations, or possibly your parents' employers. So these would be sources outside a university that offers scholarships. Children's Hospital, Staples, anyone in our community, a business or corporation that offers scholarship dollars. So the federal government is one of the largest sources of financial aid in the nation. So we have most of these are need-based grant programs, and that you're going to apply for when you complete the FAFSA. We're going to keep saying that word. We're going to get to it. But these are all of the programs that that come from the federal government. So we've got grants that are free money that you don't have to repay. We have work programs, and we have student loans, and we have parent loans. So all of those are available through the federal government when you apply for financial aid. Here in the state of Ohio, we actually have several different state financial aid programs. So one is a need-based grant program. We have a couple of others. I have the website to the state programs here, the Ohio Higher Ed.gov, that will go a little bit further if you're interested in looking at these. So the first one there is the Ohio College Opportunity Grant. That is similar to the federal Pell Grant. So it's a need-based grant program from the state of Ohio. And then there's some other smaller grant programs that are available. I'm not going to go through all of the details with each aid program, but I'm just showing you how many different types of financial aid programs are available for students. So when you're applying to a college or university, most of them will be offering or can offer scholarships, awards, or grants. So remember our definition at the very beginning. This is all free money. You do not have to pay it back if you are awarded one of these types of scholarships. So the academic scholarships, that's based on GPA, test scores, all of that. Maybe you're looking at athletics. If you're an athlete, there are some schools that give out athletic scholarships. If you're a music or theater student, sometimes they are able to give scholarships based on your talent. And then there's, other types of awards that colleges have. And so typically where you learn about these is on the college website, right? So if you go to Columbus State or Capital or Otterbein's financial aid pages on their websites, they will describe the scholarship programs that they have available for their students. And then you would be evaluated for those when you apply for admission for those schools. So there are some colleges that require an application, but many do not. Usually it's just by you applying to their schools, you would be automatically considered for many of their scholarships. Okay, and then on the outside scholarship piece, my advice on finding resources outside of colleges is to start with your high school guidance office and your guidance counselor. So I know a little bit from Chris that there are many high schools represented in this organization. And so what I would ask you to do is stop in your guidance office and ask your guidance counselor about what scholarships you might apply for in your community. So, for example, if you're from Groveport, there might be a women's club, an athletic boosters, PTAs, local community businesses that might sponsor scholarships. So typically you have the best chances of scoring a scholarship in your community, like within your own city or town, right? So once you get into competing scholarships, nationally, there are free online scholarship search engines. So like if you went to Google and did one of these that I have up on the screen, you could search for scholarships, but many of those are national, right? So you might be competing with a lot of other students. But your guidance counselor and your guidance office should be able to get a list of student scholarships that are more local in Central Ohio. So that's about the types of financial aid and what you might expect. So we're going to talk a little bit now about the application process, right? How do you get access to these funds in order to go to college, right? So when we talk about the FAFSA, we're talking about, that's an acronym for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, okay? So it is going to be your application for all sources of aid, that federal aid that we talked about, the state of Ohio, and in most cases, the college aid. So if you're applying, let's say you're applying to 3 different schools, you can list all of your schools that you're applying to on the FAFSA, and they will all receive your results. So the FAFSA opens, actually it's already open if you're a high school senior, it's October 1. So if any of you that are watching have already sent in college applications and you have not done this form yet, you need to do it now. So, and you need to check the deadlines of those schools of when they require the FAFSA. You do have to file the FAFSA every year to qualify for financial aid. And it's going to be based, it is going to ask income information about your family. It's going to ask about some of the demographics of your household. Right now, the FAFSA, it's about 100 questions, but what I want you to know is that it is easy to complete. And there is help in order to complete it. So I don't want anyone to be intimidated by it. It is something that we have folks available to help complete that for you. We can certainly help you through that process. I know Coach Chris is familiar with the form. He's helped students through it, but it is going to be based. It's going to ask some information about your family. And this is a national form, right? So it's going to be asked of everyone who completes it. It may seem like it's personal information, right? Because it's going to ask about your family's income, how many people are in your family, a little bit about your assets and what's in your bank accounts, right? So, but what I want you to understand is that this is a universal application. It's asked of everyone, and it is. While you fill it out online, it is very secure. It is linked it can link to your IRS information or your parents' IRS information, but it collects all of that information, and you can list all of the schools that you're applying to, and they will all receive the results in order, so your financial aid eligibility could be determined at those schools. So I'm going to, so I'm going to see if I can switch over. We're going to watch a quick 90-second video about the overview of the FAFSA process. This is issued by the federal student aid folks. And I'm going to go ahead and switch over, if I can, to my YouTube. Okay.
If you're interested in financial aid for college or career school, you're going to need to fill out the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA. It takes most people about 30 minutes to complete online, and the best part, it's 100% free, and it provides you with access to grants, loans, and work-study funds from the federal government. And many colleges and states use FAFSA information to provide their own college or state financial aid. Before you fill out the FAFSA, it's a good idea to create your FSA ID, a username and password that lets you electronically sign your FAFSA and gives you access to various websites related to federal student aid. And here's an important tip. If your parent is providing information on your FAFSA, he or she will need his or her own FSA ID. Visit studentaid.gov/FSA ID for more information. Your FAFSA can be completed online at fafsa.gov, and help is provided throughout the online application process. You will need to fill out the FAFSA each year you are in school because your financial situation may change. Plus, you may be able to automatically transfer your tax data from the IRS, making the application even quicker to fill out. Each state and college or career school sets its own deadline for the FAFSA, so it's best to get it done early. Since some of the funds are available on a first-come, first-served basis, you don't want to miss out. Now that you know about the FAFSA, you might be asking, well, how much money will I get? Your college or career school will do the math, and there's a simple formula that they use. First, the college takes your cost of attendance, which is the total amount it will cost you to go to that school. Your cost of attendance will vary from school to school. Then, the college subtracts your expected family contribution, or EFC. Your EFC is based on information provided in your FAFSA and will not change based on the school you attend. However, the EFC is not necessarily the amount of money you will have to pay. Basically, your cost of attendance minus your EFC equals your financial need. Your college uses your financial need and other information to determine how much financial aid you can receive. See? Pretty simple. If you have questions or need more information, please visit studentaid.gov.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to switch back over here. All right. So again, the FAFSA is your aid application for any college that you're attending or looking to attend, right, that you're applying for. And you can list up to 10 schools that you're applying to. And again, you do want to make sure if you're taking actions now to apply to colleges, I would recommend that you look on their website, check out their deadlines, making sure that you meet their admission application deadlines and their financial aid material deadlines, because sometimes those are coming up, like February, March dates. I'm pretty sure Columbus State accepts applications all year round, but if you're looking at other institutions in Ohio, they may have priority dates. This is just kind of what the FAFSA.gov website looks like, so you're familiar with it. It has the federal student aid logo up at the top left, and this is where you start your FAFSA. So you just go start here. You're gonna it will ask you to complete or register for a federal student aid user ID. So if you are planning to complete the FAFSA for financial aid, both you and one parent must have a federal student aid ID. This serves, this grants you access to the FAFSA system, and it serves as your legal signature later for some other things if you end up going, attending somewhere. If for some reason you do not have a parent that can sign on these, we can work with those situations with you. And I know that Chris is familiar with some of this, and we can certainly coach you through if you have circumstances at home, or maybe maybe you're living with grandparents or an aunt. We work with students that have unusual living situations all the time, so it's not uncommon. So just make sure that you ask us, and we can coach you through those situations. So what is the role of the financial aid office? So once you file the FAFSA, all of the institutions that you've applied to, we get your results within a few hours, right? A couple days. The colleges and universities are usually assessing your admission application, whether you will be admitted to their school. And then what the financial aid office is doing is they're looking at your FAFSA results. They're assessing your financial aid package. They're going to construct a financial aid package of what you are eligible for, right? So those federal grants, state grants, student loans that you're eligible to borrow, maybe you don't need to borrow, but basically putting it all together for you about what you're eligible to receive. Also, in the financial aid offices at each college, we do a lot of counseling of families, right, of what your options are and explaining what all of those packages mean. And then, we're responsible for sending out those financial aid packages. And usually if you're applying to colleges now, a lot of things are done online. You're not necessarily getting things in the mail. But usually the colleges they usually have a portal for students to review those, or you might be getting something in the mail still. So that's kind of what the financial aid office role is. So where do you go from here, right? So if you've applied for colleges right now, obviously if you haven't, you still can. If you want to apply for admission to a Central Ohio college, I would highly advise anyone in the Central Ohio area that if you're not thinking about college, you should at least consider it, right? And you're never going to know unless you apply. You're not going to know if you can get into college. You're not going to know what kind of aid you can get if you don't apply. So I recommend it to submit your FAFSA and your admission applications to colleges that you're interested in, and to explore what options are available to you, right? And then, once you've done that, you can compare, what schools are offering you. And I know many of your college coaches, can help us through that. And I would, welcome the opportunity, Coach Chris, if you want me to come in and do a workshop or help anybody to look at these, we can certainly do that. We can, help you through trying to do some of those, right? And then you want to investigate other sources of aid. So, all of those scholarships we talked about, like you might get something from an institution of like, hey, we're going to offer you this scholarship and a student loan. And maybe you need a little bit more, but that's when you go out and you ask, your guidance office, like, what else can I apply for? Or come to me and ask, how can we close the gap a little bit if we can't get it all covered? And I also want to just mention that many times, if you don't get enough financial aid, sometimes a financial aid appeal is appropriate. So in financial aid right now, we know that a lot of families are being affected by the pandemic, right? So we have a lot of families that are maybe laid off or their business is closed. So there are reasons sometimes to go to a college and to appeal for more financial aid. So that is a possibility. And And then it's really just important that you and your family or a significant other, to make college affordable for you and your family. So I do want to talk a little bit about another thing that you can be doing now, particularly for younger students. If you're a sophomore or a junior, I don't know if we have all seniors here, but if you're a senior now, now's the time to submit your admission application and the financial aid. If you're a high school junior, you're not going to do that yet, okay? You're going to do the FAFSA during the fall or the early spring, the FAFSA during your senior year. If you're a junior or a sophomore, what you could be doing right now is looking at the college websites and looking at their net, what we call the net price calculator. It really just might give you an idea of what the college might offer you. So if you're curious, you live down the street from Otterbein or Ohio Wesleyan or Columbus State, go on their website now. Just do a search on net price calculator and they will ask you for information. They'll say, what's your GPA and your class rank or your ACT score, or and they will let you know about how much you might qualify for. So it's really simple and easy, but it might give you an idea of what that college might offer you. And then finally, these are just my top 10 of college affordability tips, right? So one is just keep all of your options open. Have a plan B. As you heard my story, I had a plan of going out of state, and then I ended up getting a full scholarship at a private institution. Keep all of your options open. There are options when you get to campus, whether you live on campus or if you commute. There's various options when it comes to rooms. I highly encourage students, if you're able to work part-time while you go to school. It does help, to pay for things along the way. And it also gives you some good work experience while you're going to school. I would have never found my way into financial aid if I hadn't worked as a student in the financial aid office. There are many textbook options now. We have our students rent books rather than purchase, which is like the best thing since sliced bread, right? So Chris, you and I probably paid a ton on our books, right? There's lots more options now that students can find their books cheaper online and have some other options. Some students have different kinds of experiences. You could be an RA on campus, which could totally pay for your room and board if you wanted to live on campus. I know that might be something that you've never thought about, but sometimes being a resident assistant, it basically means that you're a dorm. You're over a floor in the dorm, right? And so you're helping other students on campus, and you're responsible for them. But it's a job, but you get free room and board, which a lot of our students love that perk, right? And it saves you a lot of money. Obviously, we already talked about outside scholarships. There are different finance options that students have, but the most important thing is, to talk with your family about this and talk with, people that you trust. You might have some good friends or good advisors, Coach Chris, to talk about what makes sense for you and how you can make it affordable for your family. So I just have a couple of resources. Here in blue is the studentaid.gov. That's where you start your FAFSA. There's a lot of good information about all of those federal aid programs that we talked about. I did not get into all of the eligibility and nitty-gritty about those, but there is financial aid available to students, and we want to get the word out that it's easy to apply for. There's also just where that video came from that we watched, that is on YouTube. If you look up federal student aid, there's very short little clips of, how to fill out the FAFSA. What do we do if your parent information is required and you may not have access to it? There's short little clip videos that are very, very helpful. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information in 20 or whatever 30 minutes. So what kind of questions, Chris, do we have, or maybe you've thought of?
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm looking in the chat. So I'm going through the chat, see if we have any questions. I don't see anything. I do want to share. Dr. Fox had said, and like Laura mentioned, colleges and universities are more than happy to work with you in the FAFSA process. She also said, if you need help with the process or do not currently live with a parent or need help figuring out an aspect of it, that's okay. The schools are here to help you. All right. And she also said, if it never hurts to ask questions, ask the colleges for help. If the FAFSA, let's say, with the FAFSA, or even if you feel you need more aid, you can submit an appeal for more aid. The worst that can happen is that they say no, which is the same result as not reaching out, but they could say yes. Let's see what else we have in here. Stefan, he perked his eyes up at Dr. Fox's comments and said, smartest thing schools did with them books. But no, we don't have any questions yet. I would like to bring on one of our coaches prior, though. You mentioned something about being able to just kind of like supplement your finances. And you might have mentioned RA. One of our coaches actually had an RA experience when she was in school. So I wanted to bring her on for a quick moment just to kind of share some of her experience and how that helped supplement her education. So Clark, if you can, go ahead and unmute yourself and share with us a little bit about your experience.
Hi, everybody. My name is Clark. I'm a new A&P coach here. First of all, nice to meet everyone. Just want to say that. But my experiences as an RA. So I was an RA for 3 years. I went to Bowling Green State University. But I can honestly say that was one of the best experiences I had throughout college, just because it allowed me to grow outside of kind of my comfort zone and kind of become a leader and get to know people and kind of build on my strengths as an individual. But like Laura mentioned, there were some fantastic benefits, including that room and board. Let me tell you, 1 year I didn't even have to pay tuition because I had the financial aid, I had my room and board covered, and at Bowling Green, they do offer a free meal plan along with that. So those perks definitely added to the experience, but you just have a chance to kind of become a great leader and grow as an individual. So I would definitely recommend looking into that process. I interviewed for my RA position. It was like a 2-round interview. It took like probably a month to get accepted, but they'll train you. You get to go through like different diversity inclusion trainings, like they definitely prepare you for the field, but it's just one of those experiences where you'll never forget, honestly. So if you have any more questions, I will be here to answer them. If you have any questions right now, please feel free to open up your mics, anything like that. But that is a great option in terms of like financial assistance, but also just personal growth. So y'all look into that. Talk to your RA your first year, try to get some experience, things like that, because I think first years can't be RAs. So get to know your RA if you decide to live on campus and kind of try to get that experience, see how it is. But yes, I will advocate for being a resident advisor, y'all. So yes, that is my little spiel.
Thank you so much, Coach Clark. That was good. I knew some RAs. I was friends with some RAs, and they was always talking about all the free stuff they would get and all the money they didn't have to pay. So definitely a huge perk. Definitely. All right. So one thing we'll do before we get to some questions, because I know we've been sitting down, so I'm gonna try to get this energy popping in the room. We got some giveaways, and I want to see if y'all learned anything. Right? We got a phenomenal host coming in to talk to y'all about getting to the bag, getting that money. So I got 2 questions, and Laura, I'm gonna need you to verify their answers. Okay, so the first question, and you can go ahead and drop this in the chat. So the first person who got the quick fingers and able to put this in the chat, that's what we're going with. If Miss Laura deems that your answer is right. So what are the 4 types of financial aid? It's 4 types that she talked about. 4 types of financial aid. All right. I'm gonna go play a little elevator music. We'll give it about a minute. First person that gets that right, Laura, go ahead and just unmute yourself and say we got a winner. And then you never know what may be coming to you in the future when you win. And go.
Okay, Chris, remember,
Yes.
I can't see the chat.
Oh, okay, here you go. No, we'll go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay, now try to go ahead and see if you can see the chat.
There we go.
All right. And my other phone died, so no elevator music.
All right, we got a winner.
We got a winner already. All right, thank you so much. Edwin. Is it Edwin?
Edwin.
You can go ahead and unmute yourself, Edwin, and let us know, like, what was your thought process in answering that? How did you come to that conclusion so quick? Were you taking notes? What were you doing?
So this is Edwin's mom. He was actually here listening with me, but just left for rugby practice. And so I continue to listen on his behalf.
Good. We got parents involved, y'all. See, that's y'all ahead. Get some snaps. Get some snaps. If you go ahead and, you know what I'm saying, show your video, get some snaps. Mom tapping in for the family. That's what's up. Okay. Second question. All right. Second question. What does FAFSA stand for?
Can you repeat that?
What does FAFSA stand for?
I
What is
won't
that?
answer this one.
FAFSA. Yep, it's an acronym. I'll be the elevator music. Do 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 do. Hey, we got a winner. Curry with the chef and with the curry. Hey, go ahead and tap in and let us know how you came to that conclusion. Let us know your thought process. I'd love to hear how you came to that so fast.
Mostly it was just like, because it's about college and stuff. And, you know, you just got to apply for it. But I did have to look a little bit of it up.
Okay. Hey, using your resources, man. That's what it's all about. So at this moment, we got about a few more minutes. So I'd like to open up the floor and we'll make sure we get you guys those prizes. But I'd like to open up the floor for any questions for our lovely expert this evening. Go ahead and just, if you want to put it in the chat or mute yourself, this is kind of like casual. So, you know, there's no dumb questions. Go ahead and fire away.
Hey, Chris, what's up? This is Murph. I got a couple questions. So first one, I know Denison has a program with Columbus Schools. Is there any way you can get us some information about that so we can see if any of our youth qualify or what they need to do to qualify for that program?
So I believe you're talking about the Denison Columbus Alliance.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, so we have a partnership and we do have information about our Denison Columbus Alliance on the Denison website. So if you go to denison.edu, click on, I just do a quick search, do Alliance, and it should come right up at the top. And we have information about the program there. You can probably also find it on I Know I Can's website. But we do have that information up on our website. We have, so what that usually means is we have scholars right here from Central Ohio at Denison, and they get a scholarship or grant dollars equal to our full tuition at Denison. So they get grants, federal grants and scholarships and Denison Financial Aid that equal our full tuition. So it's a great program. It is, we do have an interview and an application process that we screen applicants for those, but though they come in as a cohort and they work all together during the school year, and we're just really pleased to have so many students that are from Columbus at Denison.
That'll work. Then the second part, I guess it really isn't a question.
Oh, can I chime in really quickly?
Yeah, you got
Anthony,
it.
on that one.
Yeah.
Just as a plug, so one of the associate directors of admissions, Jesse Yeager, who is both the admissions rep for Central Ohio and then works specifically with the Denison Columbus Alliance, is going to be our featured speaker on February 17th. So
February 17th.
come back
So we'll
to
make
learn
sure we
more
put that out
specifically
there.
about that program. Yep.
Definitely. And I just wanted to, the second part isn't really a question. Just wanted to shout out Devontae Curry. This is Coach Murph. And I definitely think that program would be good for you to look into. I visited Denison for several times. It's a beautiful campus. They have outstanding athletic facilities, and Devontae is a very good student athlete. So definitely follow up with Denison. Look on that website. It's a great choice.
Thanks, Coach Murphy, for those amazing questions. I actually, does any students have any questions? Because I got a question I know that some of our young people may want to ask, but if we got any young people out there that want to ask a question, go ahead, drop it in the chat or unmute yourself. All right. So my question for you, Laura, is what would it benefit me as a first generation student when it comes to different financial aid opportunities, and maybe speak a little bit to our young people on the live chat, right, on the live session right now, what a first generation student is?
That's a great question. So a first generation student, it really is defined that if you are the first individual in your family to go to college, you are considered a first generation. So if your parents or grandparents, if they did not attend, you would be considered a first generation college student. And the advantage, to first generation college students is that there's a lot of interest at colleges and with specific scholarship donors that want to see first generation students succeed, and to provide, opportunities to help first generation students attend college, enroll, and be successful. So there's a lot of different scholarships that are specific to first generation students. And many colleges support different scholarships. They may have specific academic scholarships that go to first generation students. So it is a quality that you should make sure that people are aware of, that colleges are aware of it, and that way you can search for scholarships on that quality. And that's another thing about those outside scholarships, is that what you need to look for and to think about is what makes you unique as a student. What is your, what kind of interests are you, what kind of major are you looking to? What makes you different in your ethnic or religious backgrounds, or maybe just even your hobbies, right? So all of those things that make you unique, you can always search for scholarships that apply to that quality. So if you are, a left-hander, if you're a redhead, or if you are, a Buddhist, if you are, whatever makes you unique as a person, there may be a scholarship out there for you. And they exist. And so I would definitely look for scholarships and Google it. Don't pay anyone for any scholarship application. You should be able to apply for scholarships for free, right? So don't pay anyone to search for those for you, but you can Google those yourself and find those scholarship opportunities. Good question.
Thank you so much. We got any questions out there, you guys? Go ahead. I know it's getting late. about 4:30, but I want to give some young folks some opportunity to chime in, right? This is your opportunity, right? Learning how to get that free money, get that, get those resources you need. So, well, if we don't, Laura, do you mind?
I see 2 questions in the chat.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, Chris, it looks like I have a question that came to me, so I'll ask both of them. The first one was, when would I receive my financial aid award letter?
Okay, good question. So if you have,
and then I can just ask the second question.
Yes. Go ahead. Okay, so if you've
I was going to say, and then the second question was.
Go ahead. Okay, so if you've applied for applied to a university, and so normally how it works is if you've applied for admission, you would get an admission letter first, right? So you've been admitted, you've applied, you have passed all of their criteria for their admission, and you would get an admission letter. You've been accepted to X university or college or career school, right? And then a few weeks later, assuming that you have that FAFSA on file, then you would get a financial aid award letter telling you what financial aid you have been awarded, and then you will, sit down and make a decision on what is it going to cost you, if anything. It might be all free, right? And make a decision of where you will attend. Okay, second question.
And my second question, and I apologize, I think I'm on a bit of a delay, is if you get a scholarship, does it reduce your financial aid package, or how does it impact your overall financial aid package?
That's a great question. The question is, if you get another scholarship, is it going to affect anything that's already been given to you? And the answer that we give a lot in financial aid is it depends. So for many students, it may not have any effect. So like, let's say you say, I got a $500 scholarship, right? And that can easily go towards your books, or maybe you were going to owe $500. It's just going to be added to your package. But if a university has offered you a great deal of financial aid, in need-based financial aid, and you come back to us and say, I got a $10,000 scholarship, right, from, I don't know, Staples, let's just say, it may affect your financial aid. So I say it depends on the different types of financial aid you might have been offered already. But in many cases, it may not. So it really needs to be reported to the financial aid office that scholarship's coming, and they will evaluate whether it makes any changes. But that's a really good question.
Okay, so I was.
Go ahead, Stefan.
Oh, I was just about to say, ain't no point in me keep typing in the chat. I was wondering what gapping was, like with financial aid, what gapping is.
That's a good question. So in terms of how colleges award financial aid, gapping is a practice that some colleges do. And so let me explain what that means. So when you file a FAFSA, from that FAFSA application, your financial need is going to be determined from your FAFSA. So let's say you fill out the FAFSA, you have a family of 4, and your household or family income is $30,000. And when a college gets that application, it says that your financial need is $25,000. So that college, if they meet your full financial need of $25,000, it's going to give you $25,000. Now, not all institutions, not all colleges can meet your financial need. So let's say you apply to college. It says that your financial need is $25,000. they may only offer you $20,000. So that is what we would consider gapping, right? So they did not meet your financial need. If they offered you $20,000 and you really needed $25,000, or the FAFSA application says your financial need is $25,000. So that is the practice of gapping. And that's usually where the financial aid offices are involved with counseling and helping families determine how can you make up that gap. Whether it's with a student job or encouraging you to do an appeal to ask for more, or maybe a monthly payment plan might be helpful, maybe getting you a student job, maybe looking for other scholarships to help meet that gap. So that's the practice of gapping. So that's a really good question. I have never gotten that question from a student, so kudos to you.
Stefan, big time. That's the kid right there. Stefan with the big boy question. I like that, man. You came through today. That got me excited. That just made my heart glad. Anyways, let me stop. We got any other questions out there? I saw Layla mention that the second question prior to this was something she was wondering about, so I'm glad she got that answered. We have another question. This is from Tanya. If a high school student has had an IEP all throughout high school, when or where would a parent start in supporting the student?
That's a really good question. And I think where you would start with that question with colleges and universities is to make sure that in your college admission process, you mention this in your college application or to your admission counselor to that college. So typically what they will work with you. Most colleges have staff members that work specifically with students that have had IEPs to make sure that you have the support that you need to start college. Kirsten, do you have any added words for that? Because I know that's
yep. Yeah, that's a great question. So most universities have, so the office Laura was referring to our academic support service offices. And so you could reference it in your college application, but then it's also an office that you would want to reach out to them because it's up to you in a way to disclose that. They won't always know. And so they have support services in place, similar to the way, if you think about what an IEP does in your K-12 system, right, then that office really takes over working with you. And so each university is a little bit different as to how they help students with that academic support. But this then goes to one of those admissions factors that when you're thinking about ultimately where you want to choose to go to school, that's a question that you want to be asking and searching for on their website, even reaching out to those academic support service offices to ask how they support their students. Again, this goes back to my earlier statement. This is where, ask those questions. All these offices are in place on college campuses because first they like to work with students. And so they want to be able to answer your questions and help you. We will also have later this semester, one of the reasons why College Readiness Wednesdays goes through the end of the semester or end of the spring is so we can bring some of these offices. So we'll have some representatives from different academic support offices coming as well. So that's a great question. But like I said, this is an area that's on our campuses. I think that sometimes the hardest part is there's so many different offices. So just knowing where to even turn. But that's hopefully what, and that's where I'm here to kind of help you figure out where to direct those questions as well. But those offices exist, and like I said, they are here to help you in various ways.
Thank you so much. So I want to respect everyone's time. It looks like we're kind of pushing the hour marker. So I would love for you all to go ahead, if you have the opportunity. I'm gonna go ahead and drop it in the chat. And Laura, if you don't mind, go ahead and sharing your contact information again, so that if anyone has any follow-up questions or wants to reach out to you, I know we got some parents on the call. You can go ahead and share that screen. If you need access, let me know. And I'm gonna go ahead and drop our social media account. So our Lead the Way Learning Academy IG page is where you can connect with us. You can also, in the link in our, we have links in the bio that, if you want to share our organization for, applying for the organization, registering for our College Readiness Wednesdays and other programs, we should have that link in the bio on our organization page. And then myself as well, because I'm just a dope coach, I'm gonna go ahead and drop my Lead the Way Learning Academy page for you all to connect with me, share it with your friends. We're here every Wednesday, okay? And tomorrow we'll be having a career highlight, so we have those as well, and you can find all that information on our social media platforms, okay? Laura, do you need access to share your screen, or are you okay? Give us one moment. There you are. So if you have a moment, go ahead and screenshot that, take a photo, write it down. Her email is also in the chat as well. As mentioned, we are here every Wednesday, 3:30 sharp. So again, I just want to thank everyone. Coach Murphy, do you have anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Nah, man, just thank everybody for coming out. I appreciate you for getting this information. Appreciate all the presenters. Chris, great job. And of course, Dr. Fox, great job again.
All right. Well, thank you all. We are done. If you want to hang out for a little while after the call, that's fine. But we're going to, at this time, you are free to go.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for having me.